Any good stories from the road?
Pipe up.
I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more out of our punter.
I'm starting to puke.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I thought he was going to die.
I'm starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's on the probiotics.
Is Georgia playing the 1985 Bears this weekend or what?
A lot of Todd talk.
Rat poison proof.
They're mongoose.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction.
Welcome into the Georgia Show and happy Masters Week to everybody. I know everyone's all loaded up on sandwiches. Jake Rowe made it back safely and had a wonderful time. We'll get to that in a few minutes, I'm sure, and share some stories. But first of all, guys, we are witnessing a Georgia competition in a way that we haven't seen before. At least I haven't. With Kirby bringing both Carson Beck and Brock Vandagriff out to talk to the media. Pretty fascinating stuff.
Shocker. I got to my phone yesterday because I checked it in the tech check and walked over and asked the lady, hey, can I look at my phone real quick? And she handed it to me and I had to turn it on. And I started looking. I was like, man, I got an email from UGA Sports Information that both quarterbacks were available. And that kind of made the decision to end my day at the Masters a little early yesterday for sure. We ended up leaving around 2:00 so that we could get back. And my dad and I were both out of gas at that point because we'd been there since before 7:30 walking the course. We made a quick little stop in the pro shop, maybe 15, 20 minutes before we left. And there was a lot of ground covered yesterday for us. And man, looking and seeing both of those quarterbacks available just shocked me. And I was like, I got to be there for that. And so I was. And, we had a really good time doing that. And we had a really good time doing interviews. And I wrote a column this morning and I fully believed everything I wrote in there. I always do. Easy to root for those two guys, not necessarily because they're just golly gee willikers, shucks guys. I really got a sense of, genuine comments and thoughts from them. Carson Beck saying, I've always thought I asked him straight up, do you ever think, well, I've been around a long time, this job should be mine? He's like, I don't have to guard against that. That's the way I feel. I felt like the job should have been mine last year is what he said. And then Brock Vandagriff, the storytelling about his dad and some of the things he learned about being a high school coach's, player and son at the same time. I don't know. It just seemed like both guys were pretty honest. And I really do believe there is a quarterback competition at Georgia. A lot of people are saying, oh, no, it's Carson Beck. Kirby knows what he's doing. Saw it on the board earlier today. There's a competition going on. There's no other way to do it.
Well, I'd read your story, Jake, and agreed with everything that you said there as well, that those were two guys that presented themselves in a way that was easy to root for both of them. And Georgia is going to be in good hands regardless of who that quarterback is, because of the way that they, at least if they approach things the way that they say that they approach things, and they have it together as mentally as they did last night. I mean, Georgia's in great hands with that quarterback position. Both of them felt very genuine. I would say especially Brock, Carson being the older of the two, that perceived leader in the quarterback race. I think that there was maybe a sense of saying all the right things without saying a ton, maybe more than you need to say, versus Brock, which is fine. And I get that. I mean, that's how Kirby handles his interviews. That's how a lot of these players do. And Carson was a better interview than 99% of players that we talked to. But as felt with Brock, there was definitely a sense of energy, a sense of, realness to him of, and I wrote it in my story today. He's controlling the controllables. He's going to put everything out there that he can. He's going to do whatever he can, work his tail off. And if it's in the cards for him to be the quarterback, then so be it. If not, then he feels like he's gotten better because of the competition.
I do have some of the interview portions that y'all referenced there. So let's take a quick moment to hear from Beck and Brock Vandagriff. I'll include the links to both of their interviews in this show description so y'all can listen to both of them in their entirety. But here's what Jake and Palmer were talking about.
Comes a lot of things that, come with playing the position of quarterback as far as mentally, physically, and then obviously decision-making, which would go under the mental aspect. But, there's certain things that, Bobo wants us to do, and there's certain things within every play that we call, whether it's a check, a change, reading it the right way. And obviously we're going to make mistakes and we're going to mess up. But, for me, just trying to separate every play, that no matter what happens on this play, the next play is going to be different, and I got to play it all individually.
Probably some of the best advice that my dad ever gave me was just, or it wasn't really advice. It was just, you have to take coaching. And like there was practices where I'd be running around the practice field at Prince Avenue for the last 30 minutes of practice doing something wrong. And it's because I talked back or said something. But just making sure I look my coaches dead in the eye, say yes sir, whether you like it or not. If you have an explanation, if they were wrong, you can tell them in the meeting room. They don't want to hear it on the field is the biggest thing that my dad taught me. And it's helped me because I've, knock on wood, I hadn't had anything happen like that because I've been able to take coaching and just say yes, sir, on the field and maybe go back in the meetings and ask about it.
Brock Vandagriff with a little bit of a rebellious streak. I never would have guessed. Joe Huff in the comments section, throw both of them in the fire and see who cooks the best. Maybe throw them in the kitchen. I don't want to throw them into the fire and actually cook the quarterbacks, Joe. But what do y'all make of Kirby Smart making this decision to put both of these guys in the media room, put them behind the microphone, and let them both kind of perform there in that arena too?
Well, here's the deal. Here's the way I look at it. Is Carson Beck ahead right now? Almost certainly. Odds-on favorite probably to win the job. I don't think it's a guarantee. I do think there's going to be a competition. But if you're going to need a competition to keep both guys around, have a competition. Let's make both guys better. Let's make all three guys better. And so that's kind of how I look at it. But I do think that, getting them getting both of them out there, I do think, kind of serves a little bit of a purpose to kind of keep them both engaged, to kind of, give the impression that, yeah, this is a quarterback competition. I think it's kind of just an all one big circle is, yes, does having a competition keep them around? Yes. Does having a competition benefit everybody? More than likely, because there's plenty of reps to go around at spring. Like Carson Beck said yesterday, you're not worried about a game plan. You're not worried about all this other stuff. But I also, kind of look at it as, all right, well, if all that's going on, then you need to do everything to kind of keep those two things perpetuating, and bringing them both out, I think, kind of serves that purpose.
I didn't think we would get one without getting the other.
Right.
And I really didn't think we would get them in that setting. Me and, Jordan Hill, Connor Riley, Jeb May, we've all kind of discussed, this situation in which we thought we would get them, if we thought we would get them at all.
Where'd you think you'd get them? Like maybe after G-Day at the earliest?
Yep. Yeah. After G-Day. And it's not uncommon there. I can't remember if it happened last year. I don't think it did. But in 2019, at that G-Day, I remember getting Stetson on top of Jake Fromm. And so talking to both of them. So it's not uncommon in that setting where you do have two quote unquote starting quarterbacks, starting for their respective teams, the first team and the second team, to get them both there. But I did not expect us to get them in that setting. And I agree with you there, Jake, that I think if this is going to be a competition, make it a competition. Don't just make it seem like it's a competition. But because I don't think that's fair to these guys, these individuals that are part of the competition. Ultimately they're adults. They can make decisions for themselves. And, that's something that comes with being a college football player at this high of a level, and specifically playing that position. You've got to be able to, understand, maybe read between the lines a little bit with coaches and their decisions and stuff. But, I think that, like you said, it makes everyone in that room better, not just the two that we talked to, but Gunnar Stockton as well. I think that they're all growing because of the fact that they are competitive with each other. But, and they discussed it. They're competitive with each other, but they're also helpful to each other. They're not, it'd be easy to think, oh, well, I got to look over my shoulder and see how is, this quarterback doing? How's that quarterback doing? Did he overthrow that receiver? What happened there? Oh, and maybe even be excited about it because it's helpful for your case and hurtful to theirs. But both quarterbacks expressed a sense of, hey, we're here to help each other out. We're here to help each other get better as football players, regardless of who wins the quarterback competition. So, I think it's important that it is a healthy competition, and that's how Brock described it, that it is a healthy competition now. And I think it's important that it stays that way as long as it is a competition. If you've got a starter, then make that known. I don't think that they'll have a starter coming out of this spring. I do think this is a competition that'll go into the fall, but make that known to these guys behind, closed doors. It doesn't have to be known to us. It doesn't have to be known to fans. Make that known to these guys where everyone stands after the spring, I think is absolutely fair to them. And I think that it is healthy for these guys. And as this competition moves forward.
Yeah. I mean, we go from never hearing from a Georgia quarterback, hardly ever. Stetson Bennett was a unicorn when he entered the media room at times because we just hear from so many other guys at different position groups. But it is awesome to actually, whether it's part of the competition or it's just Kirby letting them talk. I mean, I view it as part of the competition, not that Kirby's sitting there and parsing through what they say and grading with a red pen what their press conference quotes are, but I think he does want to see how they handle the whole picture. If you're going to be our starter, if you're going to be our guy, this will be expected of you. You're going to have a lot of eyes on you. And we mentioned this in the last show. There's no substitute for game reps in the SEC in Power 5 football, but this is as close as you can get to really experiencing what it's like to be a starter at this level. So see how both guys adjust and adapt to it. I did like what you wrote, giving us a glimpse, and you'll hear that in their press conferences. But Jake, you wrote about what Mike Bobo's bringing to the quarterback room. And I don't know. I don't have the context for what Bobo was like as an offensive analyst compared to what he's like as an OC. But these guys are learning now. I mean, we know what he's like as an OC because we've heard through the years, I've heard from DJ Shockley. I've heard from David Green. I mean, he's different. He is a spitfire. He expects the very best, and he's going to chew your ass if you don't get it done. And I don't know what the leash looked like when he was an analyst on the sidelines and at practice. I'm sure he let Monken kind of do his thing. But these guys are learning right now, as Kevin Hart would say, what it's like to learn from Mike Bobo on the fly.
Well, 2 points I want to make there. One, that's not going to be anything new because I've heard Todd Monken use some language out there, and I've heard Mike Bobo use some language out there, and it's not all too different. So in terms of just like how hard they get coached, I don't think that's going to be any different. Man, I've heard Bobo. There was this one time, man, out at practice, and there was Gentry Estes, okay? He preceded me at my previous employer. Gentry's a really good friend. He reported something, and Bobo, in the middle of a drill, saw Gentry out there watching practice because we used to get to see a little bit more. And, man, he got after him, like out there in front of everybody real quick. And Gentry, the pro he is, kind of took it in stride. So that's there. Another point I want to make on the quarterback competition, though, and this is something I'm probably going to keep going to, is if you want to keep all three around, like if you think enough of all three quarterbacks that you want all three to stick around, because listen, that's not always the case. I mean, there have been guys at Georgia and there will be guys at Georgia that they're like, all right, you probably need to move on. It's not going to happen here for you. So if you're trying to keep all three of those guys around and there's that big of a gap between Jackson Muschamp, who's a walk-on, and these guys, then you're going to want them to compete anyway. You're going to listen, coaches, And this goes for the high school coaches. This is for the athlete that you see, the big kid that moved in, that's never played sports before in his entire life, and you try to get him to come out for football or throw shot put his senior year. You're always looking for the light to come on. You're always looking. You never give up on a kid. And I think that's the way Georgia feels about these quarterbacks is, sure, they don't want them to go anywhere. And you're not going to see Georgia name a starting quarterback anytime before the season starts, in my opinion, at least not anytime before, maybe a couple weeks before the season starts, probably a couple days before the season starts. But ultimately, if you think enough of them that you want to keep them around, then you do want them competing as well. And Mike Bobo is the guy that's going to oversee that competition. And his voice, not Kirby Smart's, not even Kirby Smart's, same way with Todd Monken. And I'll never forget it, the Orange Bowl, and Todd Monken coming out and saying, full-throated, Stetson Bennett gives us the best chance to win. Oh, man, he didn't know anything. And a year later, he was the mastermind of the whole program. But it's going to be the offensive coordinator that has the biggest voice and the biggest, impact on that call. And I think, Mike Bobo will make a good decision when the time comes. And right now, Carson Beck's ahead, but Gunnar Stockton's going to make a move, and Brock Vandagriff may be already making a move.
Yeah, we haven't really spent nearly enough time talking about Gunnar Stockton, and just watch. He's going to be the starter that leads Georgia to a three-peat. Before we move on, what'd you think about Stetson's body cam footage?
I texted you guys. I laughed so hard when he says, "Are they going to give me a chance to explain myself?" Basically, and I can't use the language that he used. And then they start to let him out of the car, and he goes, "Well, I guess they are." That sent me. Listen, I know he was a little bratty and a little douchey, and that comes with the territory of being drunk. I think there's a lot of hubris that a man gets when he's overserved
and being QB1.
Yeah, that. But I mean, dang, Owen Condon, why are you leaving your dude out to dry there, man? And that's why it didn't work out for you as an offensive lineman at Georgia, dude. You're leaving your quarterback hanging out. I'm just joking. Damn. Owen Condon's more than likely a great kid and a good person, and I'm sure he didn't mean for all that to happen. Stet's the one that lost his phone.
Well, here's the thing, though. Yeah, he looked pretty bratty in the footage, but I think when I hear people say it makes him look worse, now this is just more evidence that it was terrible. This happened 2.5 months ago now. There's really nothing new from it other than I thought it was funny too. He didn't hurt anybody. I mean, he did the damage to himself potentially in the draft, but I mean, when you watch it and you do hear this monologue going on, and that's what it was. It was like a stand-up routine as he was getting cuffed and put into the car. I know he's going to regret it. He'll probably hate it. But it could have been a lot worse. And there's no way that this, now that TMZ's leaked this footage, Stetson's falling down the draft board again. That's just not how this works.
No, I mean, the NFL teams, it was when the police report was made available, and I'm sure NFL teams grabbed the police report. I mean, the police officers literally say in the report, the fact that he didn't have a phone, they basically, took him into custody to kind of keep him, safe, to keep anything from happening to him, because they thought with a man out there all by himself, I mean, he wasn't doing anything necessarily harassing or violent or breaking and entering. I think he was just out there wandering around, knocking on doors. Who among us, right? Who among us?
Speaking of breaking, how about Breaking Tea, the apparel company that has all of your Georgia national championship needs? Back-to-back champs, the original champs. You can wear a shirt that has Stetson Bennett on it. If you've canceled him out of your life, you can choose Brock Bowers instead if you'd like. Breaking Tea's got some really good stuff from Georgia's success. It's just a glowing time to be a Georgia Bulldog. You may as well rep the Dogs everywhere you go, on your shirt, on your hoodie, on your sweatshirt. Breaking Tea, the link is in the show description, as it always is. Sorry you cannot wear a hat. You cannot find a hat as nice as Jake Rose is, though. It is a brand new Augusta National hat.
Yeah, Palmer should have some too. I picked him up some merch. He put in an order. Wes apparently didn't want anything, and Roos didn't tell me until my phone was off.
I have enough, I think, and I don't know.
Has Roos picked up his shirt from last year?
Yeah, he's got his shirt from last year. It was
that's essentially brand new to him.
Aging like a fine wine.
Here, that Under Armour camp we went to month before last, I believe, is when he picked it up. So I held on to that bad boy for a good 10 months.
No, it's brand new to him.
Yeah, it was still in the plastic, dude. It was just like the one I gave you. I mean, it was just as there wasn't even any dust on the plastic. It was inside the plastic bag, inside of another plastic bag that I'd gotten from the Masters. I've got several of those now too. But this year, I'll be honest now, I didn't come away with as much loot as I did last year. I got this T-shirt, I got a hat, I got a coffee mug, and that was it. Last year, it got up there. It got up there for me last year.
I have a coffee mug that I drink out of at least weekly. I've got a couple T-shirts. One of them is just falling apart, but it's from 2015 when Spieth won, and I was there for that one. Not on Sunday when he won, but that was just a cool tournament. And I still wear it. And I've got a T-shirt that looks a lot like yours, Ro. And something about the hats, man. I sweat in them too much, and they just kind of get deformed after a little while, so I just stopped asking people to get them for me. But maybe in a couple of years I'll circle back around.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man, the tech hats, like like this one and the one I grabbed for Palmer, and the green one that I've been wearing almost every single day for the past year. I wear out a hat. It's like tennis shoes. Like if I get a good pair of shoes, I wear them, and I wear them until they fall off me. But that hat has held up really well, and I hope this one will too, because I saw a lot of people out here wearing this hat before I went and got it, and I had decided what I wanted before I walked in there.
Yeah, sometimes you see it and you see everyone modeling it on the grounds, and you know that's what you got to get. All right, let's get to the DawgsHQ mailbag. We open this up to our subscribers over on the message board. If you're a premium DawgsHQ subscriber, we open some questions up for you, and we're going to hop over to some of the things that y'all asked. Hopefully, if you asked it, you're watching live right now. If not, I will have the link for you to catch this on a replay. So the first one we got was from Mamba Anderson, and Mamba asked, would any of the DawgsHQ crew take a punch from a silverback gorilla for $1 million? And I said, how do you know we haven't?
Well, I'm not a millionaire, so no. I don't care if it's tax free or not. Hell yes.
Yeah.
If you can promise me you're going to trank that bad boy before he gets in a second punch, I'll take my chances. If he's going to vegetate me, my family will be supported in my stead. Hopefully he doesn't. I can handle it. I'll be honest with you though. I'm hurting after walking at Augusta National yesterday. Maybe a bad idea. Maybe it's a bad idea, but you start throwing. You put six. Yeah, I'd do it for 500,000, bro.
500K.
Yeah.
So one of the guys I used to work with asked if you would take a punch. Speaking of taking punches, would you take a punch from Mike Tyson for $1 million? And that one is no. I'm saying absolutely not on that, man. Yeah. Because you're talking about CTE from one hit, permanent brain damage. It's just not worth it.
I got it. I'm fine.
You're crazy, dude.
I'll take a hit from Mike Tyson.
Palmer, are you taking that?
Yes, both of those.
Y'all are nuts, dude.
So, dude, here's the deal. I got to listen. I'm not. This was my own. Being a young idiot. Okay, I got into a car accident when I was 16 years old and got ejected from the vehicle. Okay, I think I'll be okay with one punch to the face. If he's not wearing. Now I will say this: if you're going to just tape his hands, and I got to take one like that, I don't know. I'm going to have to do some soul searching on that one. But if he's going to wear boxing gloves, I think I've got to do it.
Dude, quality of life is priceless.
Ooh, Rhett going 200K for that.
Do I get to wear a mouthpiece?
200K? Yeah, you can wear a mouthpiece, and I'll say you can wear the protective foam helmet.
Oh hell
yes!
Oh hell yeah!
I'll do it for $50,000.
No, you wouldn't. Not for 50.
Tax-free 50 grand.
With the headgear?
100%.
Yeah.
Dude, you're still
If I
concussed.
get to
You
wear
are
that headset?
you are
Yeah.
still concussed.
I've had a couple anyway. What does it mean?
I don't think y'all want it. I really don't think y'all want the smoke. All right. Craig Lawson over here is hating on the questions. Craig, if you can ask a good question, I'll actually answer it. You're over here with pot shots on people. I'm just getting us started. That wasn't even a real question. Desire is asking for the best barbecue in the state and best wings in Athens. He says the best barbecue is Hope You Like It Barbecue and Hope You Like It Georgia. I've never been there, but I need to visit. And he can't find any good wings in Athens.
Fully loaded.
Fully loaded is pretty good.
I just got back from there. I thought I was going to be late.
Wing that, baby.
I thought I was going to be late tonight, guys, but I hit fully loaded for the Wing Wednesday. Big wings, solid sauces. That's the best wing spot in Athens. I don't know about barbecue in the state. I haven't really dove into barbecue outside of Athens, and Temez is probably has that one.
Temez is outstanding.
Honestly, man, I mean, I think it all depends on what you want. I think the best pulled pork I've ever had in the state of Georgia was at B's Crackling Barbecue. I've only ever been to the one in Atlanta, the one that was kind of West Atlanta off 75. That was the best pulled pork I've ever had. Temez is hands down 100% the best brisket I've ever had in Athens. I mean, in the state of Georgia, and probably does the best. Which, you know, I'm a little bit of a weirdo when it comes to barbecue.
Just a weirdo in general.
Yeah, weirdo. Period. Right. But I love brisket. I love pulled pork. I like sausage. I like house-made sausage. I think I'm a huge fan of that. But I am a massive fan of a chicken leg quarter, of the leg and the thigh all in.
Yeah, me too. I am too, because I don't do that myself very often.
Yeah. I mean, I love cooking them myself because they're so cheap. I think I developed the love for it when I was coaching at Cedar Shoals High School. I had my defensive backs. I had 11 of them, and it was opening weekend of college football 2000. It was the weekend that I think it's 2009. The Georgia lost to Oklahoma State to start the season at Oklahoma State, and we got a couple of games on that night, and I grilled up a bunch of leg quarters. And I was like, man, I'll have leg quarters to eat through the weekend or whatever. Because I got like 2 10-pound bags for $25. And I probably cooked up 2 10-pound bags, 25 leg quarters. They ate everything. Locusts, ate every bag of chips I had.
Y'all are not gonna get me to eat bugs. I'll tell you that.
I think they probably showed a couple of them showed up with a little ketchup in their eyes. I think they had a little. I think their eyes were a little red. I think they might have had some help on the front end on making some room for it. Little cannabis help. These young men did. But man, they ate so many leg quarters, it was unreal. And ever since cooking those and eating them while I cooked them, I've become such a big fan of doing that. So
White Tiger also with really good barbecue in Athens.
Yeah, they just only do pulled pork last time I checked.
Yeah. I'm not going to hate on them, but I think there's better barbecue around the area. And have you been to Iron Pig in Jefferson?
No, I have not. No, I have not.
That one's really good.
Smoking Po' Boys in Winder, it's pretty solid.
Big B's is really good in Jefferson. And in Crawford, there's G Brand barbecue, which is really good.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday coming back. I didn't even know it was there.
They're a cool story, cool family. The Gretsch family, they own a ton of land because they have a ton of money from making guitars. They didn't invent the electric guitar, but they've created a lot of electric guitars for rock bands that and artists that And then in Athens, Doggone Good Barbecue right on the edge of downtown is fantastic as well. All right.
Yeah, cool experience in there too. Good people work there.
Yeah, I love that place. Jot 'em Down is not. I think Jot 'em Down became Butt Hut, if I'm not mistaken, over on Macon Highway.
Yeah, and Jot 'em Down was I remember all the way back in the day when it was on Whitehall Road. So
I wanted to jot them down because I used to live over there on Macon Highway, and I asked for the rib sandwich. Me and my buddy were hungover, and I just didn't really think it through. And I was like, oh, there's no way they're just going to put a slab of bone-in ribs on the sandwich. It's probably just rib meat on the bread. And I just chomped right into 3 rib bones. And I'll never forget eating that bone-in sandwich, man. All right. What else do we have? Glenn H. I'll reward Uncle Glenn. If you could suit up for a game for the Dogs and get to be on the field for one play, which team would it be against? Now, this is a strategic answer. Do you want to be on the field? Does this mean you're going to be on the field and do something good? Or does this mean me with my current skill levels, stature, lack of conditioning will be on the field for one play against a team that can absolutely obliterate me? I'd probably say Florida. I mean, I think it would probably be cool to get to play in the cocktail party in Jacksonville before it moves, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably say the same thing. That way, I mean, it would be cool to play in Sanford Stadium. I think that would be pretty great. But, yeah, I'd probably have to be the cocktail party. I will say that if I had to cover a game and get to see a game from any press box and experience every game from that press box for the rest of my life, it would be Georgia Tech's press box. It's not that anything else goes on great there, except for the fact
not the current Georgia press box.
Not the current Georgia press box. It'd be Georgia Tech's press box. You've been there, Palmer. There's no better seat to watch a football game.
I don't know. I didn't love the Georgia Tech.
So close to the action.
Yeah, but it's
see the skyline.
Tight. It's tight. It's cramped in there though.
Yeah. I'll take cramped in.
Not a lot of leg room at Georgia Tech.
Which better Mississippi State, I'll say that.
Mississippi State was cold
and awful.
On a warm day, Mississippi State's would be good. Although I know we're not talking to. I know the question wasn't about press boxes. I mean, if we're doing one outside of Sanford, I'd probably say Neyland Stadium and suiting up against Tennessee, and maybe that's the volunteer state boy in me. But
you're the real Tennessee man.
Yeah, you're the Tennessee man. You gotta be in.
You notice he's not in the comments tonight because I'm on the show.
You gotta be in Neyland. Yep, good point. All right, moving along here. Matthew C. asked us, before the Dogs finally won the Natty, what in the depths of your despair from the 90s or games like the 2012 SEC title game or 2017 national title game, what did you promise to the Lord or say to your friends that you would do or give up to see the Dogs finally win a national title? I told him I'd get punched in the face by a silverback gorilla.
I think you're the only person that can really answer this. The only thing I was saying throughout that whole game is Georgia doesn't win this type of game. Georgia doesn't win this type of game against Alabama. Georgia doesn't win this type of game against Alabama. And I don't know where I got that from, because when the game was over, I was like, you know what? That was kind of a reverse the script type game. It was almost like Alabama had every chance to put that away. Alabama was probably out playing Georgia for 3 quarters and had a chance to put them away. And then it was Georgia that came roaring back in the fourth. So that's the only thing I was really saying. I just can't really root for the team anymore. Like I can't. I mean, yeah, I've just been doing this so long. It's the job. It's kind of programmed out of me.
I'm also probably a bad example because I did not give one lick of attention to Georgia football.
Palmer was born on third base when it came to Georgia success.
Yeah.
Show up.
I started covering the team the year after I started covering the team in 2018, and look, they didn't win a national championship before I got there. So
New Year's 6 games every single year.
Yeah.
I'll say, Matthew C., I was in Indy, and I was not covering the team, and went to the game with some friends. And I just kind of made peace with whatever happened, because I had been to the 2012 game, the 2017 game, and like professional capacities. I was working them, but I was still, I wanted Georgia to win. And I just I don't believe in like praying for outcomes of games. I think there are bigger fish to fry up there. But I did just say a prayer, and I was just like, look, there are a lot of people that want to see this happen. There are a lot of people that have seen terrible things happen to this team, and this feels like a good opportunity for this to finally happen. So if it does happen, great. If it doesn't, we've been through worse probably. So I just kind of made peace with it. I know that's kind of an anticlimactic answer, but that was kind of my final straw, and Georgia won the game. And because I did that, and I was in Indianapolis, I just picked up my rental car. I was driving back to where we were staying. I was just at peace the whole trip after that and was not nervous. No one believes me when I say this, but I was not nervous about the outcome of the game. That's not to say that I knew Georgia was going to win or anything, but when I go back and watch it again, I cannot believe that I wasn't nervous, because there were some real gut drop moments in that 2021 game for sure. Let's get to a couple more, and then we'll wrap up the show. Get to some chopping wood. Maybe ranking the receivers 1 through 6. Maybe that's a column. Maybe we don't quite answer that on the show. Someone asked us about that. South Atlanta Dog. We've got to best and worst memory as a Dog fan. That was another question. All right, here's the last one. Ro, I think you wanted to answer this one.
Yeah.
Committable offers versus not committable offers. How does the recruiting process actually play out in real time? And this is the example from Bleed Red and Black on our message board. Say a kid gets a Georgia offer. Can the kid commit on the spot? Does it depend on the kid? Like, are there only ones high enough on Georgia's board? If it's not committable, I assume the coaching staff is communicating to the kid that the offer is contingent on something. This is a really good question. Either waiting on other players to commit, needing to attend a camp or something, etc. So overall, too long, didn't read, didn't listen. How does the coaching staff manage the way that recruits get their offers and are actually able to commit?
All right, so I will say this. When Mark Richt was at Georgia, if a kid got an offer, 98 to 99% of the time that kid could commit to that offer. And if he couldn't, somebody was getting into it a little bit, or somebody had committed and maybe took that offer off the table. Saw what happened with Kelsey Griffin in a day that I'll never forget. Me, Kip Adams, Kristen Ledlow up at Mill Creek High School. The weirdest day, one of the weirdest days I've ever had in this business. Kid commits. He's excited about it. Turns out Georgia didn't accept his commitment because they already had a nose tackle in that class, and that's what they considered him to be. But that wasn't communicated, and that kind of stuff happened a little too often under Rick. But otherwise, a really good period at Georgia, but not good enough, not good as what it is now. But almost all the time that was the case. Well, that's not the case anymore, and it's not always communicated. It's not always like, hey, you got to come to camp. If it's a quarterback, probably. If it's a quarterback, it's like, hey, listen, you got an offer, but we want you to come throw at our camp. It is for other kids too. Like, hey, you got an offer. I want to come see you at camp. We want to get you measured. But from what we've seen on film, we want to offer you. I'm sure it's communicated sometimes, but it's not always communicated. It's definitely not communicated. Hey, dude, we're offering you. But if two guys commit before you do, or if one guy commits before you do, then you definitely can't commit. There's a way to kind of do it. Sometimes they'll offer a kid, they'll talk to him, they'll get him warm, and then they won't communicate with him for a few weeks because maybe they feel better about other targets. Maybe things pop up. It's a delicate balance. It's a case-by-case thing. It does depend on the kid. And, right or wrong, it's the cost of doing business. Because, listen, for the longest time, I heard, why can't kids transfer? Coaches transfer. Well, why can't schools? Schools got to play that same game, too, with these recruits. These guys can flip anytime they want. And these schools have to be able to kind of manage their roster and manage the guys that they offer the best they can. And sometimes that's making an offer to a kid that they may not be able to honor for months and months on end.
Craig Lawson with our final question here. I actually am going to get to you, Craig. This is a good question. How do we let the Silers off the hook for not getting a Bulldog to the Natty. They have one job and lots of dogs. Revoke their privileges, yes or yes. I don't think we can revoke their privileges to a mascot as much as PETA would like for that to happen.
Yeah.
I'll just take a stab at this. They didn't let Uga go because he's too old. He's too old. And he wasn't going to go. Now, are you really going to send a substitute Bulldog? I know that they had Russ as like a substitute there for a while. So they kind of set that precedent. But are you going to send one? You're going to send a replacement Bulldog, a stand-in Bulldog to the national championship game? If Georgia lost that game with an imposter Bulldog or a substitute, they'd never hear the end of it. So I don't think you can just be willy-nilly about substituting Uggas like that. All right. I'm glad that you got your question answered, Craig. Let's chop some wood. Craig Lawson asked as well, is golf a real sport? And he doesn't think it is. I think everyone in the town of Augusta believes it's a real sport.
I struggle with this a little bit too, and I don't necessarily do it because a lot of folks say, "Oh, it's not a real sport because nobody's playing defense." Well, listen, dude, you're playing the ultimate defender. The defender is Mother Nature, and the defender is the voice inside your head that's constantly trying to make you buckle under pressure.
Or the pro that puts the pin placement an outrageous place.
Or if you're Cam Smith, Scotty Scheffler holing out from greenside for eagle to kind of put you in a hole last year when you drew close on Sunday. Lots of different ways. The golf gods sitting in their throne behind the 12th green at Augusta. They're also very good defenders. But listen, there's some things about golf that's harder than anything else. I mean, harder than anything else. I believe Justin Thomas could probably, I believe he could probably hit a 100 miles an hour fastball with an exit velocity of 105 miles an hour before anybody in the Major League Baseball right now could go out and fire a 65 at Augusta National.
So, I mean, the argument, and I'm kind of segueing with this because I'm going to chop wood about Sepp Straka's hole-in-one. But Craig says that there's –
Not Bubba's?
Well, I mean, there's nothing against Bubba, but you'll find out why.
Do you look down on him?
No, I'm not canceling the live guys. I'm not canceling them at all.
Isn't the par 3 kind of set up for
Yeah, it's totally set up for it.
Yeah. But
Craig says there's zero professional level of athleticism required to play golf, and I don't think you're wrong about that.
I agree with that.
It's the videos, the clips of the guys in the gym doing their core exercises are just – it's laughable to me. Because you've seen Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and all these guys like Gary Player didn't commit to doing 200 sit-ups a day until after he was in his prime as a golfer. It doesn't matter. But all that to say, it's the mental thing. I mean, it's the same with racing. That's not necessarily a physical thing, but the mental performance that translates to a physical execution is fascinating. Well, all right, so I'm going to chop wood.
And all those guys are in pretty good shape.
They're in good shape now, but do they have to be? I don't think they do.
Dude, Harry Higgs plays golf on tour. Harry Higgs is out there. So.
Yeah, but I think that as for the most part, as you look at the elite golfers, they are in better shape than the non-elite golfers. So there is a level of athleticism that goes into it. And on the NASCAR topic, I don't know that NASCAR drivers are athletes, but it's a motor sport.
Well, we're conflating two different issues here. We're talking about, all right, are they athletes? Not really.
No.
Is it a sport?
Yes.
It's a sport.
You keep score. Damn it. You keep score.
So that brings me to my chopping wood topic, though. Sepp Straka, the Georgia golfer. This is where we tie it all back into actually making this a Georgia show. Y'all, hitting an ace, I don't care if it's a practice round. I don't care if it's the par 3 contest. Obviously, they don't play it at that hole. But hitting a hole in one at the most iconic par 3 in the sport is amazing. And to do that is just such a bucket list thing.
He
There's
did it
only
on
been
12?
3 guys, I think, that have ever done it in
I
a
didn't realize
round.
he did it on 12.
Yeah.
12. He did it on 12, man. So, yeah, I don't know if the pin placement there was helping him out, made it a little bit easier for him to do it. I wouldn't put that past Augusta National to create some buzz like that on a practice round day.
On Monday.
But that was sick. And you're a Georgia Bulldog to cap it all off, and your football team's won back-to-back national championships. So that's what I'm chopping wood about.
Hey, while we're talking about hole-in-ones on par 3s, what's more impressive in y'all's opinion? A hole-in-one on a 3 or a 2 on a 5? And albatross.
An albatross.
Yeah, 2 on a 5. You're hitting something a long way in for that.
Yeah. No question.
You have to have a lucky.
You got to get a good roll for.
There's way more luck involved in an albatross.
Fine. Which would y'all rather have?
An albatross.
That's tough.
I'd rather have the albatross. I think it's more rare.
I'd rather have the Albie.
I think it's more rare.
It is more rare.
It is more
I would
rare.
rather. Palmer's got a point here. I'd rather hit the ace.
I don't
That's
know.
so cool
Because
to
then I could
say.
run around like Ronnie from Jersey Shore back in the day and start screaming, "One shot, son."
I'm not. I know I'm late, but Ro just looks like he went and rolled around in the pro shop at the Mass.
That's all I did. Whatever stuck to me, I bought.
You're the walking billboard for Augusta.
You just
National
roll
right
around
now.
and see what sticks and walk
I
out.
wish I could get my yellow coffee cup real bad.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't replace the DawgsHQ sticker in the background with
with the Masters flag.
with the Amen corner.
Yeah, a pin flag for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know how Sepp didn't just immediately go and swan dive into Race Creek.
I'm glad he didn't. He would have broke his neck.
It's not real.
It's not deep enough for Sepp Straka. That's a big man.
That's a big dog. All right. Who's taking the axe?
I'm going to take the axe on. Listen, this spring has had an odd feel to it. And some of that odd feel has been the fact that I've been coaching T-ball and I had T-ball pictures one day and I've missed some practices and I've missed post-practice availability. And Palmer and those guys have been tortured by players coming up like 45 minutes after they're supposed to come up. It is such a strange spring practice, but I think last night kind of, really brought it to a head for me because boy, did I do some rookie stuff last night, man. For years, we've been doing Georgia press conferences. And for years, they've been, hey, ask for the microphone. Your boy just goes out there and starts firing off questions, dude.
You cut me off.
Like it was the old days, like it was the old Martin Rick days. Like, hey, let's just get in here. Let's see if Murray Poole's going to ask his question, then we're all going to get involved, okay? Well, that's not the way it's supposed to be anymore. It's supposed to be more professional. And I drew the ire of the great Leland Barrow. I probably know ire. Leland's never been mad at anybody. I wouldn't.
No, you disappoint Leland. You never make him mad.
Yeah, the nicest dude ever. But man, such a weird spring, and your boy, like I said on, I hate to, I know this is a family show. We'll bleep this out if you really want to, but it was just total dipshit move by me. And yeah, man.
Is this an apology?
It's a chopping wood, like weird spring. I suck. We need to retool. Maybe DawgsHQ needs to make some decisions. I mean, I'm kind of sort of the boss a little bit. Maybe I need to fire myself.
So what happened though? I mean, did you get in trouble?
No, not really. Leland I just remind everybody you need to ask for the microphone before you ask questions. I did it twice.
Give yourself
in a row, Jake.
Oh.
You did it twice in a row, and the microphone holder.
No, I didn't do it twice in a row. I waited. There were some questions in between.
Okay. But the microphone holder was standing right behind me, waiting because they don't give you the microphone.
Let's back up, Palmer. They're not just called microphone holders. They are assistants.
His name is Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. Thank you.
Is it better if I call him Ryan, the microphone holder?
No, Ryan, the UGA
Student
Sports
assistant.
Communications staffer or intern.
Anyway, Ryan was standing behind me with the microphone, essentially holding it in my face. And then Jake starts firing off questions. He went rogue.
Yeah.
Jake Rogue.
It was some it was some chicanery, that's for sure.
All right. Well, glad you learned your lesson.
Pull a real boss move and give yourself 2 weeks off with pay.
I love that line from
I was supposed to have a day off yesterday, and
I was shocked when I got the text. I think it was.
I thought that was the dipshit move. I get why you did it, and
smart.
everybody. I'm glad you did it, but I thought leaving Augusta was the dipshit move.
Yeah, it was like
That's not the reason I left. I mean, me and my dad were both out of gas, but if I was smart, I would have just been like, "Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry."
It was like
whoops.
2:20.
Exactly.
It was like 2:20, and I had texted somebody, and I said, "Wow, the irony that Jake takes off the day that we're going to talk to both the quarterbacks, whatever." And it's like 2:20. Jake texts me, 1, leaving Augusta. 2, I got your hats and polo. 3, I'll be there tonight.
Damn, the commitment.
I love DawgsHQ. I can't help it.
Palmer, chop some wood.
I am chopping wood about the continuity that Georgia's coaching staff has. I wrote about this yesterday and did a little bit of digging to look around the SEC. I asked the great Matt Zenitz the question, and he wasn't sure of the answer. Maybe I sparked a thought in his mind, and he's going to do some digging himself. But went digging to find how many assistants Georgia's has coming back this year. And with the help of Jake Roos as well, we had a phone call and we're talking, going back through all the Georgia assistants. Georgia has just 1 assistant leaving this year. They replaced that one from within, Mike Bobo. We talked about him earlier. It is the first time that Georgia has had just 1 assistant leave, 1 assistant to be replaced since Kirby's first offseason, the second year headed into 2017. They replaced Tracy Rocker with Trey Scott. Unless I'm mistaken, that was the case. Georgia went and won the SEC championship that year, made their first college football playoff appearance, lost the national championship with the fewest number of coaching changes. And then last year, with the most number of coaching changes on the assistant side, those 4 gentlemen that you see right there, Brian McClendon, Fran Brown, Stacey Searles, and Chidera Uzo-Deribe, they went and won the SEC championship and won the national championship for the second straight year. So Georgia, continuity, it's great. It's absolutely on Georgia's side this year for 2023. They've got tons of talent on their side too. And talking to the players, you can definitely tell that it's beneficial. They're certainly not going to complain about the fact that they have continuity. But I did find it a little bit ironic that the 2 SEC championships that they've won under Kirby Smart, one was with the least amount of change and one was with the most amount of change. So chopping wood about change.
Changes. All right. Roos, my bad.
All right.
Joined us to close this out. Let's do it.
Well, rapid fire me real quick. What'd you guys talk about tonight? I'll give you a couple sentences on each thing.
Okay. We talked about the quarterbacks, hearing from both of them how unique that is, that, normally we don't get to hear from any Georgia quarterbacks once in a blue moon. And now we're hearing from both of them in the same day.
Someone mentioned on the board that might be a test, and I don't think that that's the craziest thing that I've ever heard in my life. I think that it was interesting. And listen, I think Kirby needs to keep marching those dudes out there, because the more you can convince everybody that they're in the race, the better for them.
Best barbecue and wings in the state of Georgia.
Ooh, tough. I used to really love Wild Wing when that was in Athens. I thought they had outstanding wings. Their Braveheart wing.
That wing buffet was ridiculous.
Yeah. I really loved. I also really loved the wings at Amici when I lived in Athens. I thought they had great wings. Barbecue is tough, man, because I feel like I've had it so many other places that were so much better than in state. I'll tell you this: doggone good barbecue at 3 a.m. slaps
hard.
Yeah.
Like Will Smith, brother.
You
like taking a punch from Mike Tyson or a silverback gorilla.
You might get a song. You might get a song and the Bulldog Big Bite if you go see Mr. BJ. So,
Roe explained how the committable offers work, which was a pretty fascinating question. Just about.
He taught me how that worked, so I have nothing to add.
By the way, Doggone Good Barbecue doesn't stay open past 8 anymore.
Yeah, Roos just has a key to the joint.
No, he'll hang out. He'll hang out there late on the weekends if he used to would. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So should I chop some wood now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tonight I'm chopping wood on this recent interview I did with Ellis Robinson. Go check it out if you haven't already. But what I really like about what Georgia commits are saying right now is the level of commitment that you're hearing from them. There's not a lot of I'm keeping my options open. There's not a lot of, this and that. He's going to take visits, and I think that he deserves that, and he should do that. That's, you get to do this process one time. I think that he's well within his rights to do that. But he and Ryan Puglisi are saying, look, man, I'm locked in with Georgia. Coaches know that. Coaches know not to call me. He said, I'm talking to the schools in my top 5, but they know where it stands with Georgia and me. I think that Georgia has done an outstanding job of building this class early and then also really solidifying and making these guys centerpieces. Ellis Robinson said one of the big things that stands out to him when he's on campus is how Fran Brown, he said, in our discussions, I can tell he's getting me ready to play early. He's breaking things down. He's going through the film with me. And it's really standing out to him. So Georgia doing a fantastic job, not only reeling in excellent players, but also I think an excellent job by Fran Brown. That name was mentioned consistently throughout there. Ro, what do you think of that J.C. Horn comparison for Ellis Robinson?
I don't recall much about J.C. Horn coming out of high school. I do feel like J.C. Horn is like considerably bigger than Ellis Robinson, though, right? Isn't J.C. Horn like 6'1"?
Yeah, but I think Ellis is like 6 foot, isn't he?
I thought I saw him listed somewhere at
5'11" and a half, maybe.
I feel like that's one of the positions where when you start talking about
he's
a guy being
at 6'1.5".
We got 6 foot and a half.
Oh, I thought I saw him at 5'11" somewhere. So yeah, I mean, if he's truly that, then I could see that. But that's one of the positions where I feel like an inch and a half in terms of height, length really means something.
Big, no doubt. So anyway, shout out to the Dogs, man. They're putting together a nice class, and so guys are saying the right things. I think it's everything you want, especially heading into this big season.
Love it. Glad you can make it, Roos. Palmer, Jake Rowe. Glad we could talk a lot about the Masters and getting punched by silverback gorillas. Maybe
no way
that.
I'd do that, by the way.
100%. $1 million, vegetable or not, I'm taking my chances.
Are you taking a punch?
Laying it all on the line for the family.
Are you taking a punch from Mike Tyson with headgear on, Roos?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll know what you're in for.
Skull. Mike Tyson can knock me out, but he can't crush my skull. Where my brain lives.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're punching. We're getting a punch from. Now, listen, Mike Tyson gets punched in the face. The gorilla just gets to punch you. So I think
if it can shatter my skull, it can probably shatter every other bone.
People have survived,
but it only gets one punch, and then
guys who are trained. Look,
Jake said it was guaranteed tranquilized after that.
These are guys who are trained to take those punches. You are not. You can't practice for this. You are getting demolished, and you just don't know it, and you won't know it. You won't remember it. So I guess that's the upside.
Yeah,
you will remember
like we're a Bark After Dark discussion.
Yeah, this is Bark After Dark material for sure. You'll remember our show if you watch it because we talk about stupid stuff like this, but we also have all the best dogs news over at DawgsHQ.com premium membership. The special's still going on, $10 a month through August 31st. Do not miss out on that as we round out and follow up and finish the spring strong. We're going to finish the drill, and we're going to do that over there with every angle covered from practices, media availabilities, and G-Day on April 15th. So y'all get over there and do that. We are back on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. and Bark After Dark coming up at 9 p.m. on Monday. Is that on for
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it'll be on for this Monday. Brooks Austin's going to be on with us.
April 10th, Film Guy. Circle it on the calendar.
Film Guy fam.
Tell your family about it. And maybe we'll bring a silverback gorilla and see if Brooks wants to get hit in the face.
Hey, no, if y'all want to raise,
we don't have the $1 million,
but it would do it on this channel. Raise that $1 million, and we will all get to watch it. I'll
get 1 million views.
Fund me tonight. I will.
Palmer left. He's going to find it.
Palmer's got a zoo. I know he's got it.
Thank y'all for tuning in and for all your questions. And we'll do this again. It was fun. Have a great week. Enjoy the Masters. Pace yourself on those sandwiches. See ya.